I wanted to show this clip because it's a crazy clip, not because the woman in it is being so hypocritical, because that's actually kind of commonplace, but the man actually calls out her hypocrisy, and that's a lot more rare. It's worth checking out.
What's your type?
I got the abs, nice skin, tall.
Okay. What about you? Man, I like me something real slim. You know what I'm saying? I like me something, big bone, real slim.
Oh, that's body shaming.
Tell me how you just said the same thing I did. So how's that body shaming? Respectfully.
Cause guys don't have feelings. Like this fuck guys, we body shaming all these girls. You gotta look nice for your girl.
Alright, but you know what? Double standards. Jada Pickett. That's all I'm gonna say. Respectfully. Champagne.
It would be so easy to go down the rabbit hole of the ridiculous comment, men don't have feelings, but I don't want to get distracted around that because that frustrates me so much. I could lose it. What I want to focus on is her absolutely fascinating inability to see what she's done, like that hypocrisy, because I think that it links to something far more worrying, which is that women view body insecurity and body image issues as a uniquely feminine problem, as though that's something that just women encounter.
The fact that men have body image issues, I think, is so obvious and so unassailable that it's the only reason you would say that that's not a thing for men is because you need it to not be a thing for men to prioritize your own special victim status.
Body image, it means such different things for men and women because we're both looking for different ideals, right? Like women want to look, sort of dainty sometimes and sort of feminine and sort of flawless, whereas men are looking often for like a more rugged, masculine look. Let me share a screen with you, Matt, for this this study, this really interesting study that I found. It was actually a study that was from Pakistan, which I found really fascinating because this isn't a Western one. It was called Gender Difference Regarding Body Image, a comparative study. And at the bottom, you can sort of see that it says that females of all ages were striving for this thin body, while men were divided into two groups, one who wants to lose weight and the other who wants to gain weight. Right? And that makes sense. It's like you've got guys who are fat, just like women can be fat. And like, yeah, I want to lose weight. But then you've also guys who are scrawny and are seeing like Men's Health magazine covers or whatever, and they kind of want to bulk up. But what this study also found was that when they split the body insecurity into these 6 different categories, they found that for the most part, men and women were the same, except on 2 key ones, which was body area satisfaction and fitness evaluation. And to read this part here, there was not an overall difference in gender difference in body image. Difference was found on subscales of body image, fitness evaluation, and body area satisfaction. Men were slightly more concerned about their fitness, involved in activities to improve their physical fitness as compared to females, while females were found more dissatisfied from their certain body parts as compared to males. So you can imagine, just to put that in layman's terms, for women, that insecurity can be about a very specific part of their body. Like, yeah, I spend all day, every day concerned about my thighs or about my hips, whereas men don't necessarily have that same paranoia, it seems, about that exact area of their body. But in terms of the fitness physique, women seem way less concerned about appearing really fit and healthy, whereas that seems to be the primary concern for men. And those, when it comes to body insecurity issues, seems to be where the genders kind of get split. But overall, there's not really a difference. It's not like body insecurity and body image issues are exclusively a feminine concern. And in my research to discuss this with you, what it said is that it was just ignored for so long based on this foolish belief that men didn't have those concerns. And so heaps of research was done into female body insecurity image. But the last 30 years, a lot more has been done on men, and it's consistently shown that men can be just as concerned about their body as women can be. I've had body image issues in the past. I'll talk about them. Have you?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I probably still do. It's just, much less than it used to be. I don't have a lot of the same insecurities I used to have. Most of mine came from my height and from my terrible skin when I was in high school. And the skin, as you can see, is more or less gone. And then the height, I just have cared less and less about because I realized over years of learning game and dating that as long as the women are shorter than you, they usually don't care that much. And that's been my experience. Some of them do care, or they tell you they care, and then they clearly don't care based on the decisions they make.
How bad was was yours? Like when you were concerned about your skin or aspects of your appearance, did you find it difficult to not think about it when you're in social situations? Were you thinking about it? Like how much of
no,
your...
it was horrible. Yeah, it was absolutely crippling. Yeah, it did some real trauma on me.
Yeah, right. Okay, well this is good for the women in the audience and anybody to hear. Like Matt's just admitted, like, yeah, that was almost traumatic, or it was traumatic how much that was with you.
Absolutely.
And I had the same thing. It's weird to think back to now. I think perhaps just being a teenager, it's really awkward years. Like everyone's a bit insecure about their bodies. But I remember being intensely concerned about things that I don't think at all about. I was worried about my teeth. I was worried about acne. I was worried I grew a beard too early. Ironically, I was never concerned about my height. That never bothered me. It wasn't really until years later on the internet that I kind of learned how much of a big deal that was. I remember I got a sports injury and a physiotherapist was like massaging like the muscles in my upper thigh. Like a male guy, it's like 25, nice guy. I was like 16, whatever. He's just treating me like a medical professional. I remember in my mind at 16 years old being absolutely mortified by how hairy my upper thighs were. I haven't thought about that in years, but like, God, thank God I'm out of that. It's almost like that was it was a traumatic experience in that you almost block it out. And I really feel for any guys in the audience now who are still in that place. If you are dealing with intense body image issues, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody.
A lot of it is manufactured. What's that phrase? Invent a problem and sell the solution. There's so much to be said and money to be made if you convince people that there's something wrong with them, even though they never would have suspected it, and then say, and here's the product cream that you need to solve that problem. And it applies to women's skin and their weight and their hair. And then it applies to men's muscles and our height and our dick size and whatever you want to do. You sell a solution that you don't actually need because you instill the paranoia in them that everyone secretly cares about it, even though people will tell you and performatively demonstrate that they don't really care about it.
I think for me, getting a girlfriend was obviously like, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm out of the dating market. I don't really care. But more than just being in a relationship, when I learned a game, I really stopped caring so much more, because here's what I think I was doing is I was just such a sucker in my teenage years for a pretty face. Like if a girl was beautiful, it was difficult for me with all of my hormones to really see beyond that. I wasn't such a high quality, accomplished, sure of myself guy that I was like, well, she's beautiful, but she's got a terrible personality. She's going to move on. I'll be like, yeah, but she's really beautiful. Like I'd focus on that. And in my lack of sophistication, I kind of just assumed that women were judging men by the same criteria. Like I seem to focus so much on looks. I'm sure they focus so much on looks. And so I'd be in my own head about my own appearance, way more. And then when I came online and found out like this world of like pickup artists and learning game, and they're like, no, don't worry about the looks. You just got to be confident. You can get past that. Like, if you're good enough at this stuff, that's not going to apply to you. You'll be able to game even the highest quality women, the most beautiful women, even if you're an ugly dude. And I was like, all right, well, I've seen them do it in these like videos they post online. Let me try it. And it worked. Like that's why I was able to sort of let it go. Is I was like, those times I was messing up and not getting the girl back in my teenage years, I thought it was because there was something wrong with my appearance, but actually it's because I was acting too feminine, too supplicating, not enough cockiness, not enough masculinity, not enough game. Once I implemented that, I was like, all right, cool. I've sorted out dating. Dating wasn't an issue for me anymore. And then I was honest to God, that put my body insecurities to rest, because I was like, right, women don't seem to care. That was for me what did it.
I think I could copy and paste pretty much that exact story onto my experience. I am open to the claim that a man's physical attractiveness in just basic things like his eyes and his jaw and his height and things like that, it definitely matters. But the thing is the data set that we're extrapolating from is so poor because almost every man's game is terrible. And so like, you need 1,000 well-trained men who have excellent game. And then we can really see how much it matters, right? If everyone's game is terrible, then you're just going to default to the pretty guy, because if everyone's awkward and weird and feminine, at least he has a nice jawline.
So do you think it's important for women to understand that body image insecurity is a big tent and that they need to let men in? Or should we just hide that? Like, no, don't tell women. We don't want them, another reason for them to like look down upon us. Like, should we be on the streets with placards like, hey, we feel bad about our bodies too, or should we keep this our dirty little secret?
This is a good question, because how do you relay insecurity while still maintaining your masculine frame? Is that even possible? Because if you go on the street and ask men, what are women's issues? They'll tell you. If you go on the street and ask women, what are men's issues? And a lot of the times they can't tell you. And they might think, well, men just don't have issues. If they did, we'd be hearing about it. And then you could ask them, how does it go when men complain about their troubles to women? Are they rewarded for that? Are they taken care of? Are they served? Like, you tell me, how do you see women respond when men genuinely complain about the struggles they're going through? And I'm sure everyone in the audience can answer what they often see is that the men are insulted, made fun of, or at very least seen as weak and needing of mothering, and they're definitely not a viable sexual partner. Not all women do that, but it's quite commonplace. Men and women are wired to be attracted to different things, and women are just wired for masculinity in men, and masculinity kind of inherently takes it on the chin, like we bleed and we don't cry. That's kind of masculinity in a nutshell. And it's not always healthy, but I don't think you're going to scrub that from women's psychology and convince them through empathy and through compassion to be attracted to very vulnerable and sad men because they just want to be loved. Like, they're going to have space in their heart for that, but it's tapping into their mothering instincts and not their partnering instincts. And men just, I don't think we have that solid distinction where we can easily have sympathy and even pity for a woman, and it doesn't remove her from a sexual category for us because we're men and we don't really have that category. But women have that hard line, and it seems unlikely that they're going to scrub that anytime soon.
That was so well described and is a really perfect summary of the inherent problem that men face in the dating market. And you may be right that we're not going to change it. I just wish perhaps that there was a little bit more societal recognition that is the case. But you're right that there are some women that are able to offer some empathy. And I did find this clip, and I think that this woman has a really interesting perspective. So let's listen to her.
I like this one.
I know this is going to be a hot take, so everyone stay with me. Men who work out, you'll get a lot of hate, especially on TikTok, I feel like, because some of you are douchebags. But men who work out are way more accepting of women's bodies than men who don't work out. And I feel like people think it's the opposite, maybe because the guy has a great body, and so maybe you think he'd be more picky and choosy about the girl's body that he dates. No. I mean, he might want to go after a girl who also lifts because of shared interests, but it's not about her body. Honey, the men who work out, they are the closest to understanding what it's like to be in a woman's body in today's society than any other man I've ever met, because they know what it's like to have body dysmorphia. They know how hard it is to meet physique goals and expectations. And so those men, man, you give them a chance, like those feminist lifters, I see you. You go.
I love that. Feminist lifters. It's wonderful.
Yeah, all four of them. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's true? You sound skeptical.
Yeah. Oh, totally. No, it's such a great way to gain insight into the other sex's psychology is to engage in things that they do. Essentially, men taking on obsessive exercise as a lifestyle. You're going to learn what it feels like to microanalyze your upper pec versus your lower pec and how do I look in this angle versus this angle and whatnot. And I mean, all the guys who are mewing and, chewing crazy gum to make their jawlines this bigger. It's not that different from women who are doing all the weird, cheek inhalation to make their lips look different. And it's so similar in so many ways. It's almost comedic how we've landed in this shared reality of deep insecurity. But if that's what it takes to get the compassion and sympathy going, I say, share in the trauma. Why not?